All right, guys. So, welcome all to another live session. And today, so once again, I will be going through the agenda uh, for today's live session. So, first of all, we'll be looking at the last topic remaining from week 7, and then we'll be looking at GS7 as well. Few questions on GS7. Also, we'll be looking at few stuff from so we'll be looking at question from project 2 and how you can actually map those you can actually map a question to a particular function. So that's what so these are some agendas for today's live session. Okay, so we'll be starting in 2 minutes. So give me some time. Okay, guys, so I'll be sharing my screen. And just now, Sakshi asked us that what should be the particular workflow of project 2. So I'll be demonstrating that. So I'll be showing you guys. So is my screen visible, by the way? Okay. So let's get started. So the thing is that, oh, by the way, I'm using back on for the first time. There might be few issues with that. Okay. So let's get started. All right. So let's talking about project 2, fine. And so so we have to follow a certain pipeline. It's going to be a particular pipeline when you are going to design this project. First of all, you have to just let's say if I was a student of TDS in this term. Okay. So if I was a student of TDS in this term, so how would I approach this particular project? So first of all, what we will recommend you guys is that you should collaborate in order to complete this project. The thing is that you have been given 5 GAs, right? You've been given 5 GAs, and the number of questions in these 5 GAs is more than 50 for sure. And when it comes to so if a single person just goes ahead and you know creates 50 functions for each and every question, so that's going to be a tedious task. So what we're expecting you guys to do is you should form certain groups, you should collaborate on this project. Multiple people should, let's say 50 people collaborate, and all of them create a particular function for each question. And just one person with really high technical skills, they are able to just merge all those functions together. So that's how we would recommend you guys to go ahead with this project. Okay, so this is about collaboration. Now next comes that how would I approach this? So let's say you have gone into a particular you have gone into a group, and now you guys are deciding on how to approach this problem. So first of all, so as compared to project 1, I would say that this is a fairly not fairly this is a bit simpler. Okay, and why is that? Because it's pretty straightforward on what are you going to be evaluated on. You have solved those 5 GAs, and you know the answer of those 5 GAs as well. So first of all, you should start creating those answers for all those GAs. So that can be this is one approach, that you are creating answers for all those GAs. Okay. So that is so first one is creating answers manually. So obviously, this is going to be a tedious task, and it will require a high level of collaboration. Fine, and there are about 50 plus questions, so definitely it's going to be a high collaborative. Next is that you use LLMs for solving these questions. Okay, so next approach would be LLMs. Just like in project one, you devise an LLM which is able to solve these problems. So first one can be using function calling. Okay, let me use another color this time. Let's use okay, this one. So first one would be function calling. Next one would be what it should be. It could be a self-correcting loop. Self-correcting loop. And last one could be a really sophisticated prompt, which is, I would say, highly impossible to make, given that students weren't even able to create a prompt of particular one, just a single prompt, a singleton prompt for those 10 questions in project one. So I would say that it's a pretty impossible task to create that for 50 questions this time. Fine. So either you can go with this function calling approach, or you can go with the self-correcting loop approach. So that's up to you. And okay, so now let's come to the stages of this project. So first of all, you will be creating these. You will be using any one of these methods to solve your questions. It is my mouse. Just a second. Yeah, here it is. Let's use another pretty color. Okay, so after creating these questions, let's say you have created these questions. Your questions are already all done. Next, you have to kind of create an application, an API application, where we are able to send an API request to your server, and then it should return us with a certain value. Okay, so it should return us the answer for that particular question. This
Uh,
would be,
Sir,
yeah.
can you explain that last line, that API thing, just little bit?
Just like you created an API for project one, in the same way you are going to create one for project two as well. So in project one, you had 20 questions to work upon, or 10 from phase one, 10 from phase B, sorry, phase A and phase B. So you had to create an API, a fast API server for that. And just like that, you have to create an API endpoint for project two as well. Only that's the way we can access your work, your code, right? If your if your LLM agent is able to solve those problems. So that's the only way. Enough. So, is that understood, Sakshi?
Yes, sir. So, sir, for fast API, we need to write another file, and these 50 functions can be written in the separate file, or do we have to write
Yeah,
the
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Let me think about it. So, okay. So your functions can be there your functions can be there in another file, while your fast API server can import those modules from those different files, and then we can use them. Yeah, so that can be done.
Okay, sir. So, sir, we have to submit the files on the Azure, then provide the link of Azure to the form that we have.
Yeah, yeah. So the thing is that after creating these APIs, after creating all these different files and folders, whatever you have. So let's say you have created multiple files, you have been using, you have a different file for those functions, you have a different file for those for that fast API server, you have a different file for identifying which question the API is asking you for. So that's all files are ready. The next part is hosting this particular application. Okay, and what is hosting? So basically, hosting means that you are going to put this entire code base. Well, this is an application now. So this entire application would be published on the net, and it's going to have a server. It's going to have a IP address or a domain using which you are going to access. We are going to access it. Fine. So when it comes to hosting, you have done hosting using Vercel, right? You've done using Vercel. But the thing
Yes,
is that Vercel is providing you free hosting, which is not up to the mark of Project 2, kind of. Okay. So Vercel will be, so when you're hosting something on Vercel, you are being allotted a certain number of uh, RAM and disk space on the servers. So nothing is for, so it's not, they're not just giving you something out of the air. They have dedicated storage devices where your application is being stored. They are providing you with some kind of RAM, a little bit of RAM, which is able to run your server, which is able to run your application on the servers. So that's how they are actually running your application. But we doubt that the level of the level of questions we are going to ask you in project 2, Vercel won't be enough for that. Vercel was enough for project 1, right? It won't be enough for project 2 this time. Okay, it's going to take a hell of a lot of time to process what we are going to do, what we are asking, what we will be asking them it for. So Vercel is not recommended for that. You can try using Vercel, that's not a problem, but it's, we highly suspect it's not going to work. The next bit is you can deploy it on. So this is this hosting part can be referred to as deployment as well. So you can deploy it on services which are free of cost, which have been given to you. Okay, so one of them is Azure, and just like Jivraj demonstrated in the last lecture, that you can avail a student package where Azure gives you all those uh, different services for free for 1 year, I guess, with $100 worth of credits. And so that was for Azure. I guess there is something for you can deploy it on DigitalOcean as well. DigitalOcean is also present. You can host it on Hostinger as well. But then again, it's going to charge you money. Hostinger is going to charge you money for that. And if I'm not wrong, that money is about 2000 something uh, for an entire year, I guess. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's about 2000 for that entire year. It's when we are, if we just calculate it in dollars, so it's $5 per month. So calculate using that, so it's $60 per year. So just compute this $60 into, just convert the $60 into rupees. You will be able to uh, get the exact number of money they're going to charge you for the services. Okay, you can do that as well if you have the resources, but we have given you these different, they have given you these hosting services which are free to avail using your student ID. So using IT Madras ID, you can avail these services for free, and you can get started. Okay, same with DigitalOcean, but I don't think so that Hostinger has uh, that kind of discount available for students at the moment. Okay. And there are multiple other functionalities as well. So one thing is that you can also deploy it on Render as well. So Render is another platform where you can deploy your applications, and I guess that they provide free deployment for one of your application. So only one of your application can be deployed on it, and it would be given a certain number of resources more than which what they give in for free on Vercel. So you can go check on that. So I'm not sure about that. You can just go and just verify this if it is true or not. So Render is one platform to host your applications. Fine. So this is the entire workflow of project 2 we are expecting you guys to do. Okay, build these questions, build an API endpoint, and then deploy it on a hosting platform. Fine. And then obviously provide us with the
First,
domain.
and at the end, we can host it on the Azure. Then we can.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it okay? Or sir, is there any way to check that Azure link is working as well? Means when we push our code or files in the Azure, then
Mhm.
is there any way that it will work for you when you check that?
Well, if you're able to access that endpoint from an incognito tab or from your mobile device, then it's definitely going to work for us as well. So
Okay, sir.
let's say you have deployed your application on whichever service you want. Let's say you are going to use this Azure. You deployed on Azure. Wait a second. I'll jump on another page. Yeah. So you have deployed it on Azure. Now, just simply go ahead and yeah, so Azure will give you a custom domain. So not a custom domain. So they will be giving you some kind of domain. I guess it's going to be an IP address, and I'm not sure if they allow you to set a custom domain in that for free. But after giving money, you can definitely set a custom domain as well. So you have been given a certain URL on which your application has been deployed to. Now, if this URL works in an incognito tab or in a different device other than your laptop, so it's definitely going to work for us as well. Fine, just go ahead and send some requests, some task requests using different device. You will be able to work. If it's working on other devices, it's going to work on our devices.
Sir, just one more thing. When you send the query and the link, then the response should be in JSON form or the same format that we are giving in the GA portal, or is it for in JSON format?
So if you are going to, so this is project to page. Right? If you just read over here, so we are asking the responses in JSON format, right?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So
Sir, is it
if it's an image, then we okay. So if it's an image, then we'll be requiring the uh, answer as base 64. I guess that's the encoding, base 64 encoding, and then you can provide us
B64?
the image as well. So it has to be a JSON object.
Okay, sir.
Fine.
Sir, just one more thing. Sir, is it possible that you can demonstrate the hosting in one of the session, that how can we host on Azure, because it was free for with student email ID. So
Yeah, sure. We can do that as well. Not in this session. In another
ye-
session, we can do that.
yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay. So that concludes the workflow of project two. Now we can look at the last remaining bit. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me. Ask a question.
Yeah. Saga, so can we develop our app so that it works like locally? Like normally we can use our OS dot like OS dot get
Uh,
the current working directly and appending those functionality we can use right directly.
are you saying that you will be
Right first.
running your server locally?
Yeah, locally when we test it, we used
Uh-huh.
to save that files in a folder, then process it,
Uh-huh.
right? Like that itself we can develop, or should we use like yesterday Anand saw us telling
No,
to
no,
use
no, no.
IO.bits.
First of all, you have to create your entire application on your device now. You have to
Yeah.
create that application on a device on a local machine using a local host. You have to make all those tests using a local host. And when you are finally sure that your application is ready, just go ahead and deploy it on Azure. That's what I would say that. you can get a pretty good tutorial on YouTube as well on how to deploy a application on Azure.
Okay, so Azure will work as such like a local machine itself, right?
Yeah, definitely. So just like Versal was able to run your applications now. It was when you deployed it on Versal, it was able to run all your code without you being able to being bound to run your local server. That's true, no? In the
Yeah,
exact
that's
same
true.
way,
That's
Azure will
true.
be working.
Yeah. So it we developed like for project when we developed the Docker file. So like that, Azure will be like serving as an environment which will download a file and serve the purpose, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So make sure that when you have deployed your entire application and Azure has given you a certain domain, let's say, if and using that domain, if you are able to send a request and you are able to return, you're able to receive a JSON object, then your project is completed.
Okay.
So make
And
sure that your URL is able to provide us JSON objects, JSON
okay.
responses.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one doubt is that like in GA one question we had to move files and get the hash value.
Mhm.
So I was getting like
Which one?
uh, GA1 question number, I think 14, I guess. I don't remember exactly.
This terminal bash one.
16, it's 16, 16. So,
It's 16. Okay, this one.
yeah.
Download and
Yeah.
abstract. Use move all. Okay, okay, okay. Then rename. Okay, okay, okay. So, you're asking that. So, what's your question?
No, so this one I am getting different answer every time I run because we need an absolute one folder we have to create and it should be empty
Uh, well,
every
you
time.
should not get a different value because the thing is that even if you have stored all these files in a different folder, that doesn't matter. It's running a grep command on these, then it's using some sorting, and then it's taking out the shasan of that. So no matter in whatever folder you are storing it, you shouldn't get a different value,
No, it
different
like
shasan value.
every time I'm running, I'm getting different. That's the thing.
Okay, Talvin.
Yeah.
Yeah, here is one question. How are you unzipping the folder?
I am unzipping based on like zip unzip module in Python itself we are using.
Unzip
And
module you are using.
yeah,
Okay, and you're still
but
getting
yeah,
different
here
hash.
here issue is that we have to create an empty folder each time, right?
Yes.
So like I am doing like I am creating a folder with a name and then moving the files to it. So every time I test it, like moving the file already exists, right? So how to like handle it out? Should I delete the file like folder every time or like because actually it's not matching for me because that line is confusing. It's just empty folder they have mentioned, right?
Okay. I don't exactly remember the code for it, but okay, I
Hmm.
will. But it should not create any issue with this sum. Do you have the script at the moment? Because I don't have a script for this question number 16. Or let me
So
check if I do have.
I use Python to do, but actual
Mhm.
script I have in Bash only, but it cannot be done, right? So I'm using Python. That script I have. Yes.
Okay, but then how did you solve it when you were doing GA1? Because then it should
No,
have.
that time I used Bash itself. Bash it's working fine. Direct Bash command it's working fine.
So that means it can be solved. I mean, it should not produce different answer each time, right?
No, the second time I did not check right during GA. I would have submit first time itself, right?
Excuse me, Telvin.
Yeah.
Okay. So the issue is you have a zip file, right? You're using a Python module to unzip it, right? Don't use a Python module to unzip it. Use a bash command itself, right? You can run bash commands from your program on your in your program itself. You can run bash commands to extract files from Python. You don't have to use a Python module because the underlying environment will still be a Linux environment, right? For your program when you put it into a whatever container you're putting it into. So that will consistently give you the right answer. So the answer to that particular question is you run a Linux command from your running application. Have it unzip it, run the grep command and all those things, and then compute a hash 256. 100% of the time you'll get the same answer. That's the
Okay.
solution.
So both I have to do using bash. That only will work.
Yeah. That is the correct solution. That is the way to do it.
Okay. And all questions regarding to SIP, we have to use bash commands or like we can use.
You can use whatever works, but
Okay.
for computing that particular question, your question was specifically with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So to answer that question, that is the correct way, and probably there might be some other way, but that is the way to get the 100% correct answer each and every time.
Okay.
And it's not difficult to execute, right? You can execute a
Yeah.
bash command from your Python without any libraries. So it is very simple and straightforward. Why complicate it when you can do it the simple way?
Okay. And it should be executed in that new folder, right? Or where?
So when you look at the question, right? So GA1 question 16, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Download a file, extract it, right?
Yeah.
Move all the files to an empty folder.
Yeah.
Rename all the files.
Yeah.
So then when you're renaming all the files, it tells you this what you got to do. The change the digits and the names or something.
Okay.
The problem is not the folder itself, right? The problem is the when you sorry, excuse me. The grep itself is run. If you look at the grep command, it is running on the files in the it's running on the files in that folder, right?
Okay. So in the empty folder, it's running that bit, right?
I believe so. That's what I think. I think it is the grep command is for the files in the folder, if I remember correctly.
Or not the extracted folder.
Yeah, it is for the files in the folder.
Yeah,
Because
that's
if
the newly
because
moved
if you look at
folder.
the command itself, right? grep
Okay.
dot star. What does that
Okay.
mean? Current folder, all
Yeah.
files in it. So
Yeah.
that is
Current
that
folder
command.
also.
It's so that command means it is running on all the files inside the folder. The name of the folder doesn't matter. Where you moved the folder doesn't matter. Those things don't matter. The fact is, it's
Okay.
in a folder and it has been moved. And I think the reason it's been specifically asked to move it is probably some time modification occurs on the file when you move it. I'm not sure, but
Okay.
after extraction, see, you can try it, right? You try solving GA16, GA1 question 16. You can try it right now. Extract the file, extract the zip, run the grep command, and see when you're getting the right answer. If you are getting the right answer when you do that operation, you know that is precisely what you need to do in your actual function. Is that clear now?
Yes. Got it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, carry on.
All right. So now we are going to head towards the final topic of GA of sorry of week 7 that we haven't discussed yesterday. Oh, sorry, on Tuesday. So that is Google Charts, and so let's head to the main page of Google Charts and let's have a look at it. So just like all the visualization tools I demonstrated on Tuesday's lecture, Polium, raw graph. So all these different types of Looker Studio as well. So all these chart making, all these visualization tools can be used to create these visualizations. But the thing with Google Charts is that you can embed it in your HTML code as well. Okay, so let's go to guides, and let's set a quick start. Okay, so over here you can see that we have got a pie chart present over here, right? We have these 6 values, and all these values, we have 5 values, and we have a pie chart related to them. Now, can you see this? That they have given us a HTML code where you can actually import the the gstatic charts loader.js. So this is a JavaScript file which is required when you are going to embed your uh, Google Charts in your code, in your HTML code. So it's like that when you are creating a website, and let's say you want to visualize something. Let's say you're creating a Mat2 project. So in Mat2 project, you have to present some visualizations along with your code, along with your UI, right? So in that case, you can use Google Charts to create these visualizations. Uh, Firstly, you have to import the the JavaScript file, just like you do it with other visualization softwares, with other visualization tools when concerned with website development. So you have to import that into your script tag. Then you can use the Google visualization API to create these new charts for you. Okay, you can see that we have, so it's loading some packages which are code charts, and then we are drawing something, and then we are calling out a function of draw chart where we have all these values. This can you see this, that we have this we are adding these columns, and then we are adding these rows, and then it's going to create a beautiful pie chart for us. And yeah, so all this code, so when you are using Google Charts, you will be doing that in JavaScript. Okay, you have to create a JavaScript instance in your, you have to create a JavaScript tag in your code, and then you can use it. You can see that we are over here, we're creating this pie chart, and yeah, so I guess we have a element present over there, and then we are embedding that this pie chart in that element. Okay, so this is how you can use Google Charts. Uh, you can see that we have been given multiple charts you can use from this catalog. You can see this calendar charts, and you have a look at this. Okay, so we have this calendar chart. You can look at these examples, right? So it looks like a GitHub repository visualization, and you can see, and now next they have given you how you can create this visualization uh, in your website. Fine. You just, what you have to do is you simply have to copy this entire code from here, right? Just copy this entire code. I would say that copy this entire script tag, all the script tags, and then just make changes in the data set, right? So this is a change, this is the data, this is a new row that they are adding. Just make some changes, and you'll be able to see these beautiful visualizations in your website. Fine. We have other charts as well. We have a Gantt chart. We can create a Gantt chart. So yeah, so this is a really beautiful Gantt chart. In BDM project, we are required to create a Gantt chart when submitting the proposal, right? So you can use this Google Charts for creating it as well. We have geo charts as well. Let's have a look at it. Okay, yeah. So these are geo charts. You can import the geo charts package, and then you can create this visualization. So go ahead and give all these charts a try. I would I will really encourage you guys to just go ahead and create, after the session, just go ahead and create a basic HTML page and try to embed these charts over there. Okay, so that was one part. By the way, guys, any doubts regarding this Google Charts? Any doubt, guys? Or should we move ahead? All right,
It's open
fine.
source, right?
So,
Like we can use it freely, right?
yeah, we can use it freely. So it's an API endpoint. So it's a Google Charts API. You can use it freely. That's free to use. Okay. So if we don't have any other questions ahead, then we can start discussing GA7. And for that, Jairaj, the stage is all yours.
Just give me 1 minute. Still not. Noise आ रही है. Hello. Can someone just confirm if there is some background noise or something from my side?
There's not so much
Um,
noise now.
No, not much noise. It's clear.
Okay, is there any little bit of noise or something?
Not really.
Okay, all right. So in this question, you have to create one Google Sheet, and then so these are the data anyway. Oh, and then share it with these edit permissions, and then sheet 1 should have these columns: series ID, item ID, and year and month. So this table, this sheet have series ID, year, month can be captured from this stuff, and then the other thing is value, which is over here. And then sheet 2 should have create a pivot table that with the item as rows. So it should also have one item. So if you look over here, series ID, it's mapped to some item. So that's what is there. And then item should be coming as rows. So in pivot table, item should be rows and these should be the column. So it should look like columns over here and then these rows. And then value should be as values. So if you don't know how to do this question, then just go through this one. This data visualization and then CO in Excel. I think in Excel it might be there. It is some easy thing that you can have a look over YouTube, or else you can even use GPT to tell exact steps that you need to follow and then create columns. These are the columns that you need to create. And then over here, just submit the Google Sheet and then explain it. So for this one, it needs to be a PowerPoint. So and then G Sheet, that is for creating this particular PowerPoint, you would need some G Sheet. So that G Sheet, whatever you get after applying these formulas, should be pasted over here. And then this is again explaining thing.
What does it mean that the insights you will give here will be used by peer or agent?
You will here will be used by peer or agent. So yeah, whatever insight, like whatever you explain about the insights, okay, so those insights will be peer evaluated. So that's what, either peer or agent. So agent means some LLM. So like this one, there is no way to grade, right? So we cannot grade based on what is there in Google Sheet, what is there on PowerPoint. There is no way to automate it. So then we need to rely on peer grading or else LLM grading. So that's what it means. The LLM will be looking at your whatever text you write over here.
So just to clarify, Ritvik, one thing is your chart will provide some visual representation, right? A static visual representation. So what the peer or the agent will do is it will look at your chart, it will look at your insight and see if the insight you have written matches what your chart is saying. Is that clear?
So, so the agent will analyze our chart and then it so the chart it will analyze from like the Google Sheet.
Yeah, it will analyze the static image.
Static image, where are we giving that?
You don't have to give it, right? You just give the sheet.
Okay.
Yeah, you give the sheet and the sheet has see anything you provide, whether it's the PowerPoint or whether it's the G sheet, they will have the whole point is visualization, right? There will be a visual in there, correct?
Okay, and that visual will be taken fetched from that sheet by the agent
Yeah,
and evaluated.
yeah, not necessarily just by an agent, right? It could also be a peer.
Okay.
So if you write some rubbish in there and your chart says something different, then you're not going to get marks,
Okay.
right? So that's what.
Okay. So in this particular question, we need a flourish chart. And then again, this is the same question which needs explanation. So here is one example regarding flourish thing. So this is from this data set is picked from this particular Kaggle data set. which have some supermarket sales kind of thing, invoice number, branch, and then city. These are different fields over there. So these kind of charts can be created by Flourish. So it changes dates. Like it is for Jan to March 2019. 2019. So it goes from 1st of Jan to 31st of March or something. And over here it can be posed, and then we can look for the values for that particular time period. So it is getting the sale price for these three different like cities. Okay, so where is that? And this is the link to Flourish Data Studio. So in some of the session, this should have been covered, and then I think over here as well, it should be somewhere in one of these videos. Yeah, this is the one. So this is very interactive chart, right? And then this one, yeah, it requires you to create some scatter plot, and on x-axis and y-axis it should be coordinates, and then color coding should be there for rental prices. So this is the data set, and it must have those 4 columns, those 3 columns or 4. So what we need to use over here is Foilium. So I have created one dummy example for it. This one. So I can remove these comments for now. Rather, what I will do is I'll create a new Colab notebook. So I will first import from sklearn datasets, fetch and we need it as an data frame. So I will just pass the required parameter for loading it as a data frame. And let me print the data. And I think data dot frame should get it as data frame. So now we can have a look at what is there in data frame. So it have median income, house age, and then average number of rooms, average number of bedrooms, and then population, and latitude and longitude, and then medium house value. So this data set was created in, I think, 1990 during some census in California, and It was for predicting the house prices. So what I will do is I will create a William chart and map, and then on that map we'll put these latitude and longitude, and along with the median house value. So first I need to import William. And then William dot map. For generating the map, it will just generate this empty map. It doesn't have anything at the moment. It's very painful. So now I will just call it map. And then we are going to give a color scale for this house, median house value. So for that, I will import some. I will do some imports for that purpose. So import dot color map LCM. Color map is equal to CM dot linear, and then scale should be, so we need a scale from the minimum of this particular column to the maximum of this particular column. So let me just copy the name of the column. Okay, what is problem in this one? Object has no attribute scale. Okay, let me just have a look at the documentation itself.
Jivraj, you also use Seaborn for doing the scatter plot. And in the scatter plot itself, you can use the color mapping directly in the scatter plot itself.
But I want to create this Foilium thing, and yeah, Seaborn I can use. I was just checking out this documentation. It's not too clean. I already have solution for this in one of the script, but I was just checking out the documentation. So it should be, this one should be the color map, and then this maximum one, Mr. Object has no attribute. Okay, that is because we need to put this, and then this one. So now if you look over color map, it will look on the scale of 0.14992 point something. Right. And now I will iterate through all of those rows in this data frame, and then we'll keep adding it to the California housing dataset, and the suggestion should be almost correct. So we are creating circular markers for these locations, and then radius is 1, and then this is for color mapping. And let's just print this thing. It should be map. We haven't got anything on the map, have we? Oh, that is because I haven't assigned it to something. So I need to add this to map. This is scroll.
Okay, so it uses that value and does that heat map kind of thing.
Yeah, it's some like this color shows you the scale of it, and this scale should be present in some corner, or okay, we don't have a scale on top of this, so this is the scale. So it is kind of heat map, but on the actual map. The zoom is very
Can you
irritating.
scroll and show the code?
Code. Okay, this is the one. Does it have some triangular marker or something? No, rectangular. We can look over the. Okay, this is about the folium stuff. Yeah. Then this requires something to do with the Looker Studio, which was covered in the last session. So you need to create a filter for, so this data set, it's not, so I will have to download it, but it have these columns, like number of bedrooms is in one of the column, and then house type is there, and then house size is there. So on Data Studio, you need to put a slider for this one. So actually, this example is very good. This one, which is over here. Mm. So he have created this drop down for date, and then for country, and then for recruiter. So whenever he puts some values, if he haven't selected anything, then it will be for all those countries, and if he have selected something, then this particular table or chart, whatever it is, it will be filtered on that particular stuff, and then this particular chart would also change. So and then over here you would need to create some Kumu network, and here is one of the example of Kumu network. You can just close these one. So it is created based on the connections of the actors, so like in how many movies they have acted together, and this red color one is the person who have acted more. Like this Ravi Kishan, he have acted in a lot of movies, and then he have collaborated a lot with Kunal Singh, because this is more reddish kind of thing. So I don't know the exact scale, color scale, but this Ravi Kishan is the one who have collaborated a lot, and then he have collaborated with someone. This is there is this red thing is going over here, and then it is going outside. Okay, maybe I have pulled it out. So these individual components, we can even pull it out, and then we can analyze it over here by zooming in. So this guy have collaborated with these two, three more people, and then we can pull out something else out of it, and then we can individually identify this chain. This is very cool stuff.
It looks like playing with the strands of a virus.
Playing with
Like the actual strands of a virus.
strands of virus.
मतलब जो उसके डीएनए सीक्वेंसेस होता है ना, जो कोविड का नहीं दिखाते थे, तो उसमें इस तरह का होता है. जस्ट zooming and seeing what is happening cellular level पे.
Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, it's a network diagram, right? So you can network map many things in it. So you're right. You can use it for many kinds of network type analysis. Anything that connects nodes to with edges and things of that sort, you can do. So, like for example, if you just instead of pulling it out, if you just move your cursor over one node and keep it static for a little while, then you will suddenly see it will show you what what it's connected to and dim out everything. So that's what Kumu network is very good for, is visualization, which is usually difficult to analyze.
Hey, how did we create this, or do we learn this in week 7? How much we did?
I thought Saransh had covered it in one
Sharansh
of his
covered
sessions, right?
in one of the session. I think yesterday's session. I mean
Use
Tuesday's session.
this session. Huh?
Yeah.
Like I can use it for analyzing logistic data.
Logistic data. Yeah, if it have some node and then edges kind of connections, then definitely you can use it. So I think this is the one which uses Kumu network. If I'm not wrong, I think this is the one.
No. This is not the one which uses Kumu. This is just a kind of rant on Govinda's claim that he was first, you know, he was first offered the role of Avatar, a role in Avatar movie. So it's a kind of a fun and a rant video.
Okay, so do we have Kumu network over here? Yeah, this is the one.
Visualizing network data. Huh?
Yeah, visualizing network data with Kumu.
I think it's there. Huh? Very good.
All right, so and okay, now this is just submit button. So yeah, I can click on this button. So this is very good tool like Google Data Studio. These drop downs and then the filtering part. So it looks good. Okay, so Sharansh, you can take over.
All right. The thing is that I'm not able to share my screen somehow. So let me rejoin the meeting once, then I'll try it once again.
Okay, Saransh left. Okay.
All right, guys. So is my screen visible? Someone just give me some thumbs ups.
Your screen is visible.
Oh, very good. So now what we're going to discuss over here is that how you can actually map a particular, let's say, a particular task with a function. Okay, so let's say you received a task. Uh, okay, so this is a task which was given to you using the API end call, and then how will you map this particular task with a function which is present in your code, right? So uh, out of the 50 questions, more than 50 questions, in fact, we can give you any number of these questions, right? So how you can actually map these functions, how you can actually map that particular question to a function. So for that, there are multiple approaches. So one of them is simply copy pasting the exact question over there, and then expecting and then just filling it with else uh, if else condition. So that's one approach, but that's a pretty tedious and I would say a pretty wasteful approach, to be honest. So what you can do is instead you can have, so this was one approach. The another approach is that you can use sentence transformers, or you can use embeddings in general when we're talking in general. So you can use embeddings which can either be created using sentence transformers, or it can be created using OpenAPI. Sorry, OpenAI API endpoint that we have provided, right? So that can be created as well, and so these are this was one thing about embeddings. This is another way. The third way is to use keywords. Third way is to use keywords to kind of understand which question we're talking about. So let's say, let me head back to the TDS portal once, and then I will try to explain you guys what I mean.
F is function column.
Hmm?
F is what?
F is the function which is present in your code.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty hard to draw with the mouse. So
Okay.
I just wrote an F.
I feel it.
Yeah, so it is. It's over here. So the keyword approach, what you have to do is you have to identify a certain keyword which is specific to that question. And let's say this is the, let's take an interesting question. Okay, so this is the question. This is the fifth question of GA1 where you are required to use Excel to run this particular uh, code, particular function. One of the keywords, can anyone identify any keyword from this particular question which has not been repeated in any other GA in any other GA question yet? Can anyone identify any keyword? By the way, let me just erase all these. Right. Okay. So, anyone, can you guys guess which kind of keywords should we use in order to, kind of identify which question we are talking about? Anyone?
You can use sum, take, sort by. Those can be the keywords.
Absolutely. So that can be one thing. We can use some, take, and sort by. So this can be the exact keyword with some, and then this opening brackets, then take, then this open brackets, and sort by. So this can be one thing. Uh, but there can be a possibility that this will change. Perhaps there is a possibility. Okay. So that so that that approach is useless in this case, I would say. So you have to be prepared for any sort of uh, situation that would be presented to you, right? So over here, what I would suggest you to do is you can use Office 365 as your keyword, right? Because Office 365 hasn't been repeated in any other GA yet, if I'm not wrong. So this can be one keyword for this specific question. And what you can do is that you can map, so you can search for the specific keyword in the question in the task we have specified in the API endpoint. And then if your API endpoint, if so, let's say you received a task, right, from the API endpoint, and then you can search for this keyword in this particular task. So if you are able to find it, that's pretty good. If you're able to find this particular keyword, then voila, you have identified that this is the fifth portion of GS1, and you will have some particular function ready for that. Yes. Okay. The If you didn't find it, then you will be looking for other keywords, right? So this is how you will be approaching the you're going to approach the keyword approach. Okay. So the keyword approach is, I would say, again, it's a lot of work. You have to identify keywords from each and every question, and even after you have identified a keyword from a question, there can be a possibility of ambiguity. So why to take a risk in that, right? So keyword task is more like you are putting a lot of efforts for very little gain, right? So instead, you are students of TDS, and you have been taught how to create embeddings and what are the uses of embeddings. So instead of that, or instead of creating, lazy keywords, which can be interpreted in different ways, which can be ambiguous as well, you can use embeddings instead, right? So let's say, so I created a basic application for this. This is a basic fast API application, and you can see that I have different files over here as well. So what I'm doing is that I have a different file which is going to get the embeddings, and then it will identify which question they're talking about. Okay, so in this send trans .py file, you can see that I have a question bank. So over here, I've taken three questions. Right? Yeah, we have three questions over here. Uh, and among these, so I have taken only three questions for the sake of explanation. So we have three questions, and now we are going to identify which question we are talking about. Okay, so I just created a class for that as well, because the thing is that I wanted to store this somehow. I wanted to create an instant of it. So that's just the logic building part, which I did. So I have created a class, this match question class. And what I'm going to do is I am going to import it in my index.py file, which where I have my fast API. Oh, by the way, let me magnify this as well. Now it will be much more visible to you guys. Right. So uh, again, I will be explaining what I just said. So I have this specific file which is centtrans.py, and what it does is it applies sentence transformers embeddings. It finds these, it encodes these three questions. The three questions which I'm talking about. So it encodes these three questions in embeddings. It also encodes the question that has been given to us, and then it finds the similarities, and then it gives back the question which has the most probability of being related to that particular task. Okay. So if I head back to index.py, over here I am import. So as you can see that I've created a different class, match question class, and over here I'm importing this class from this specific file. So this is how you can use multiple files in Python, and you can import modules and classes from those files. Okay, so it's nothing that difficult. It's you just have to write from trans import this particular, either it can be a method or it can be a class. Fine. So what I did was I just created an instance, and now let me run a few tests over here. Okay, there it is. I think yeah, there it is. So I will be running. So first and foremost, I have to okay. I guess my server is already on. All right. I will check it out once. Yeah. Fine. So this is my server is running now, and what I will do is I will send a question. Okay, I will send on this the localhost pointer as well. There it is. Copy it over here, and it's going to be like this. Okay, and it's a post request which requires a body, and the body is going to have, by the way guys, you don't have to be intimidated with whatever I'm doing. So I'm just sending a post request with a body, and the way you can receive a body in fast API is that you have to create a base model kind of thing. So it's like creating a new data type, and you have to create this class, and then you can use you can actually fetch body out of the post request in fast API. Okay, so how was I able to get to this? Simple, just use ChatGPT. Okay. Okay, so this was okay. I have to enter the text. So this is going to be, so this text part is going to be the question that has been given to us. Okay. So let's say the question, get back to the system. Yeah. So let's say the question was something like this: what is the sum of all values associated with these symbols? Fine. So this is the part which has been given to us, and let's modify it a bit. What is the sum of all values related with these symbols? Okay, this is good with these symbols. And what are the values? Okay, so I've just modified the question a bit, and let's say this has been given to us, and it should be like this. A bad string. What's the issue? Okay, let me just send this request, and let's hope everything works fine. Yeah, Ritvik.
Like the space won't be causing any issue, right? And also,
space.
see, Jason, shouldn't that text be under text have that colon thing? Jason, no, it should be under. Yeah, now it should be fine.
Yeah, this should work, I think. Let's send it and let's hope we get the correct
We're getting
response.
200. Okay.
Yeah, here it is. So this is the response which we have got. Download and process the files, blah 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 blah. And at last we can see the what is the sum of all these values will be this simple. So sentence transformers is able to do all that. It's able to create these embeddings, and then we are able to identify which kind of question we are talking about. So you guys can use sentence transformers. That's a really good tool you can use. Okay. By the way, any questions in sentence transformers and how I am approaching this? Anyone?
Yeah, like how are you? Like, did you like have some file in which you mention all the questions and then you used it to create embedding?
You can do that as well. So
How are
because
you creating the embedding?
yeah, so this is the file where I'm actually creating these embeddings. Okay, this set
Okay.
centtrans.py file where I have this model, and what I did was because I just have yeah, so I just had to demonstrate this in this particular illustration, so I didn't want it to go through the pain of going through all those 50 questions. So I just selected any 3 questions out of the first first 5 Gs.
So when you're giving these 3 questions, are you
Yeah.
like having separate strings, or in one string you are mentioning?
No, we have separate strings. So as you
Yeah.
can see that this is a separate string. So
Hmm.
actually this is an entire list
Oh,
of questions,
okay.
and these questions are stored in multi-line comment, multi-line strings, as you can see. So this is one question. This is another question, and this one is another question. So in total, we have 3 questions over here. And what I'm doing is, so let me just go through this particular function. Though you can create it yourself as well with the help of either Copilot, Codium, or ChatGPT, but let's go through it. So simply, I'm importing sentence transformers. I'm assigning it a model. So the model is all mini LM, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to do that. And next is I have created a class. So this is a concept which I guess you might have learned in your Python course. So I just created a class match question, and this is the initialization of that function. I have a question bank. Okay, I have a question bank where I have stored these 3 questions. It's nothing but a list of strings. Fine. And the next part is that I'm creating these embeddings. Okay, that's the easy part. I'm just creating these embeddings, model.encode, this is this, convert to tensors is equal to true. So we are creating these embeddings over here. And then I have a different function. So the thing is that when in index.py, let me just close these files. Okay. So when I'm creating this instance in index.py over here, this sent instance of match question. So this was the match question, right? So when I'm creating this instance of this match question over here, it's going to create these embeddings for me.
Okay.
After that, when I have to actually match the question, match the should I say the task which has been given to me, I have a different function for that, which is this match question function. Okay, and I am just simply using it match question function, and this is the item doc text. So what is this item doc text? It is nothing but a kind of custom data type that we have created. Fine. So using this base model class, so I don't even I don't know how this item class works. I have just
Can you show
copied
the?
it from ChatGPT.
Can
Yeah.
you okay? What item class you were talking about?
The thing is that
Okay.
Python allows you to create data types of your own.
Hmm.
Okay. So just like in C language, we can create our own structures. We can create our own data types, kind of things. And even in Java, if I'm not wrong, it's possible we can create different data types of ourselves. In Python as well, it's allowed. You can create a different data type. So over here I have text. I can have number as well. Okay, so this was text. I can, let's say I want to create a data type where I'm storing I'm going to store the name and the roll number of
Sure.
students present in this meeting.
Oh,
Fine. So this has created this class. Now let's say okay, I have done this. Fine. Now what I'm going to do is, instead of running this particular function, just for the sake of explaining you guys what this base model item is doing, I am going to let's what should we do? Okay. Let's print it out. Okay, not print it out. Let's return the value. Okay, and it would be a string. Yeah, it is send dot no. It's item dot name we will be sending, and with role. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's add a bit of flavor into it as well. So ROE marks are also okay in this data type. Now, so this particular name with the roll number, it should be item dot roll number scored this much marks in ROE. Fine. So this is data type, and this is what we are going to return. Okay. So we have created this particular data type, and we have sent a requirement that this particular endpoint, this slash sent trans endpoint should receive it. Fine. And then it should return this particular value. Okay. So this is done. Let's head back to, okay, not head back to, we have to create a Thunder client instance. There it is. Where is Thunder? Okay, here it is. Thunder client. Let's head back to it. For some reason, my Postman is not working. So I love Postman anyway, but today I'm using, because it's not working due to some reasons, I'm using Thunder client. Okay. So here is a new request, and now I'm going to send a request to this send trans, this send trans endpoint with a body where the body is a JSON object. Okay, and over here I will specify the name to be, let's take Ritvik. Okay, Ritvik Trivedi. All right, and let's take another thing. What it is? Roll number. Roll number is let's take anything 1 2 3 4 5 6, and his ROE marks are, let's take because it was out of 10, I guess. Yeah, it was out of 10. Let's take 9. Fine. Is it right? Okay. This should be an integer. Okay. So this is what we have done. Is everything in place? ROI marks, roll number. Fine. So let's send this request and let's check what happens. It should be a post request. So only in post request you can actually send a body, not in get request, not in a get request. Okay. So I'm sending a post request with this body. Send it. Let's check what I have received. So it is Ritvik Trivedi with roll number 12356, scored 9 marks in ROE. Okay. So this is how you can actually receive data from post request in Fast API. It's pretty, I won't say straightforward. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward in Flask. So if you guys have any experience with Flask, you might be able to relate what I'm saying, that it's pretty simple to do these things to receive the body of post request in in Flask. But because I'm using Fast API, that's why we have to do that. Okay. Any questions regarding this? Yeah, Ritik.
no, I just want to see your sent transfer file once.
Okay.
The sentence
So this is
transform.
nothing. This is no rocket science, I would say. I just have this question
Okay,
bank
okay. Yeah, okay.
creating these
Fine thing.
embeddings, and again code is running. Okay, and in this function we have nothing but I'm specifying this self. This is necessary when you are creating a class,
Yeah.
this question, and then I'm just creating the encodings for this question, converting it to a tensor as well, and
Hmm.
then I'm just taking out the cosine similarity. So this is taking out the cosine similarity using PyTorch. I don't know about this. I just copied it from ChatGPT. Okay.
Okay, and what are you doing in AI embed? Like, do not share obviously if you have your API endpoint there, but otherwise.
No. I'm going to share it. So this was one method of creating, of actually getting to of actually mapping your questions. Fine.
Hmm.
This was one method. The another method is that using Open AI embeddings, which we have taught to. We already taught you these embeddings of use on this portal. Fine. So you can use this as well. Simply pass all the questions and get the embeddings, and then pass the question which has been given to you in the task
Hmm.
as well, and then find the cosine similarity. So that's one another way.
So,
The
but like,
only drawback of this,
uh,
is that you will be consuming your API tokens.
API tokens are fine, but the problem is also like it won't consume a lot of API tokens, no? Because the
It
one
won't
dollar.
consume a lot of API tokens. That's true.
But like the latency issue, latency may be an issue.
Latency.
No.
Yeah, latency can be an issue for sure. Latency can be an issue. I tried running this particular API
Uh,
endpoint. So let me just try
20
it. So I
milliseconds.
haven't. Uh-huh.
What is the limit? 20 milliseconds.
Let me just check it. Let's run this on this particular endpoint, though I'm not sure if my virtual environment is going to allow,
But like
is
sentence
holding my
transformer,
API key.
like the thing on our server, if we run, that is going to be
Uh-huh.
generally faster than OpenAI doing it, no?
So yeah, for sure. So sentence transformer is way faster than Open AI, because the thing is that it's sending an API request and then it's fetching out those embeddings. But in sentence transformers, the entire module is present in your system.
Uh-huh.
Fine. So that's going to be definitely faster. This is Open AI embeddings. Let's try sending it. Fine. I'm going to send this. Okay, it's also post request. So let's see, guys. I have 3 questions, and let's check if it's able to provide me those embeddings or not. Okay, I'm going to send this. It's sending. Okay, internal server error. To debug stuff again. Where is it? Okay. This is match data. Let's print the match instead. That's much better. Okay, let's send it. Minimize this one. Okay, so I'll send it once again. Let's check. So can you guys see this? It's running and running and running and running. Just for 3 questions. Okay. So my API, my AI proxy token, it's not able to fetch it from the local environment somehow, and I won't be presenting it over here. So the thing is that you can use this approach as well, but you have to. So latency is going to be an issue, just like Rafik pointed out. So it's going to be latency, and your API tokens are also at stake. Let's say if you got, so API tokens, it won't consume much API tokens, to be honest. You just have 50 questions present over there, and you, once you get the embeddings of those 50 questions, you store it in a file. There is no point in running that particular embeddings one again and again, right? So there is no point in that. You just have to store those embeddings for once, and then you can use it for getting those back. Same goes with sentence transformers. Just store the embeddings somewhere in a file and use it again and again. Fine. Uh,
Okay, like
so
how do
this can.
we see one time we generate the embeddings now,
Mhm.
and then we store it on the server. So every time the request is going to be made, it is not going to regenerate those embeddings now.
No. Yeah. So in my case, it's going to regenerate those embeddings because so I just created this server in a haste, so I didn't bother with uh, taking into that taking that into consideration. So what you can do is instead of placing this embeddings, this particular chunk of code, not this particular chunk of code in the function, you can instead just run it once, store the embedding somewhere in a JSON object or whatever you want, and then use them again and again. Right? That can be done.
And
And
as our server will be continuously running, if we run
mhm.
it on like Azure or a EC2 instance or a DigitalOcean, so
Yeah, yeah.
then because of that, if it has generated once, it won't generate again and again, unless obviously we are doing this thing for every request.
Yeah, yeah. So this was the another method of creating embeddings, and so I have demonstrated about three methods, I guess. So first one was using keywords, right? But first one was using keywords you can identify. Next was using embeddings, and in embeddings I have shown you guys two methods, which are sentence transformers or this one, and yeah. So these are the two methods we use. Fine. So that was it. So anyone having any questions regarding this? Guys, anyone having any questions, or should we move ahead? By the way, we don't have anything else to discuss at the moment. So, if you guys have something to discuss, you
You know,
can go ahead.
lot of things to ponder on. Like first, honestly, I was not for I don't know why, because I was not able to figure out how should I start. Now at least this is because see, ultimately we have to just expose an API endpoint which the evaluation script is going to test on. No? So this at least gives us a skeleton on how to begin, and then
Yeah,
obviously build.
absolutely, absolutely. So, uh, guys, I would recommend you all to. So, I guess only few days are remaining. 31st is the deadline to submit the project. So, I will urge you guys to go ahead and start making this project pretty fast. It's a large project, so it's not in the quantity. So sorry, it's not in the quality, it's in the quantity this time. Fine. So project one was more about quality. This time it's more about quantity. So you have a lot of functions, you have a lot of things to do, and I would seriously recommend you guys to collaborate with other people, other students, make groups, right? Make groups, and one approach can be a particular group of, let's say, 15 to 20 people or any number they want to collaborate with, creates this entire project, and if they are so open hearted, they can just release it, just release the entire code to everyone, and so that's also allowed, that's also possible, but that depends, right? So yeah, to start creating this project, go ahead and make collaborations as well. That's much appreciated. Just get along with other people, start making projects with them, right? So uh, this is one thing. By the way, anybody having any questions? Because we are at the end of this live session, you guys can just open your heart and ask any questions without any hesitations. Anyone?
Like, would it be recommended to use like people are sharing collab notebooks of potential solutions. They do not all seem right. But so should we like reattempt the GAs or at least use whatever solutions we were wise enough to save ourselves?
Yeah. So
Or kind of mix and match between all those things.
yeah. So if you have uh, codes for those different questions, even if you get that from someone else, so that doesn't make any difference in that. No, you can use any code. The questions, the language is going to be the same. The methodology is going to be the same. It's just that your parameters will change. Now you just have to take care of that.
Because
The
what
base
happened
code won't be changing.
in for some GAs I saved, for some other GAs what I did I assumed कि ये तो save हो रहा है browser पे रहेगा ये, and then
Mhm.
it got reset.
Yeah. So that's the thing. And so yeah. Uh, any questions? I guess not. So that was guys. That was it for this live session. What we are planning that there is one tool called Selenium, and it's not present in your course at the moment, but it was present in my course, my and Javraj's course, in May 2024 term, and I would say it's a pretty powerful tool, and it can sometimes save you from a ditch, right? It can save you from multiple hard situations where you are not able to understand what you are going to how you're going to approach the problem. So that Selenium can save you from those situations, and we are planning that towards possibly the towards maybe in the next week or after uh, the deadline for project 2, we are going to show you guys how you can test a demonstration video of how you can use Selenium to do a lot of things, right? It would be an introduction to Selenium because I believe that it's a really important tool and that should be taught to you guys. Fine. So that was
It
it
is
for
also web
this live session.
scraping. It is also for
Mhm.
web scraping only, not Selenium.
Selenium is for multiple things.
Okay.
So you can automate stuff with that. You can so one use case can be that let's say so there is something that Google allows you to make some searches. Okay, so Google has a kind of program where you have to make some manual searches on Google, and then then they pay you in some kind of currency. I don't know, uh, and then you can redeem it into Roblox currency, which is Robux or any other kind of currency. You can redeem that. So that was one thing. That's where you can actually automate that entire stuff of manually searching through each and everything by using Selenium, right? So that can be done. That was one thing. Another thing, as you mentioned, it's used for web scraping for sure. So web scraping can also be done with that. And yeah, so there are multiple use cases. It's so I will just tell you what Selenium is. So it's like the code is controlling the code is able to run Chrome in your browser. So let's say this is my Chrome, right? This is my Chrome. So this
Okay.
entire window will be controlled by the code.
Maybe I deviated. So we'll discuss it in the next session. No?
Yeah, next session. I
Okay.
don't know, perhaps after project 2 as well.
Okay.
Right. So that was just a brief introduction about that. By the way, guys, so this live session is over, and yeah, have a nice good night, guys. Bye.
Okay. Thank you for the nice session.
Yeah, thank you, Ritik,
Thank you.
for interacting with all of us. Thank you, everyone, for joining this session, and thank you for interacting.